Chaska City Council meeting for Monday, July 16th. We'll call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening.
All that from out there.
Yeah, isn't that a nice background?
It's always fun.
It's awesome. Welcome, everyone, and we're going to keep going. We have a bunch of items on the agenda tonight, so we're going to move forward. Nate, will you call roll, please?
Yes, Councilmember Schultz,
Here.
Councilmember Bowe, Councilmember, I'm sorry,
The
Rowe.
R
Got people missing, it's throwing me off the game. Councilmember Rowe is not here, Councilmember Geisler.
Here.
And Mayor Winchell.
Here. Councilmember Rowe is out of state, and Councilmember Bull is, we're not sure right now.
Campaigning.
So I hope everything's
I-
okay. But anyways, we have enough to do business, so that's
Yes, we
fortunate.
do. Got a quorum.
So with that, we will move to item number 3, adopting the agenda. Are there corrections or additions to the agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to
Item 4. Adopting the agenda?
adopting the agenda? Yeah.
Yeah. Motion to approve the agenda.
Now you're throwing me off my game. So motion by Councilmember Schultz,
Second.
second by Councilmember Geisler to adopt the agenda. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Next moves us to item number 5, which is visitor presentation, and we have a special guest tonight. So I think I will meet Miss Myrtle at the podium if we could. And I have a little proclamation for her to read. For me to read, I should say. I better bring glasses, you never know. She can probably read better than I can.
There's Mike.
How are you? Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Pretty awesome. You look better than I do. What's the secret to that?
Just keep reading.
Well, you gotta keep dodging things sometimes. So I have a little proclamation for you. If
Mark, if we could, maybe have her kind of
Once you
center
stand
the
right here.
podium here, and then, there we go.
There we go.
Yes,
Much better.
Make sure she gets front center on the camera.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I have a proclamation in recognition of the 103rd birthday for Myrtle Klemp. So whereas Myrtle Klemp, who is loved by friends and family, celebrated her 103rd birthday on Thursday, July 12, 2018. Whereas born in Corcoran, Minnesota on July 12, 1915. Marrying the love of her life in 1942, the Reverend Arthur Klemp. Whereas the Klemps were blessed with 3 beloved children, Joy, Mary Lee, and Joel, along with 3 grandchildren. Whereas maintaining a strong faith, Myrtle continues to be an active member of her church, where she played the organ for many years, was part of the Lutheran Women's Missionary League for over 70 years, and was even a delegate for the LWML convention in New York. Whereas family, friends, neighbors would all describe Myrtle as a selfless individual who always puts others first, whether it's bringing food to those that are shut in or volunteering for the Auburn Care Auxiliary and at Christmas and spring boutiques, where she is a member and still attends meeting. Whereas Myrtle remains in good health and has shown remarkable resilience throughout her 103 years being an independent woman, actively working in her garden and playing the piano. Now therefore it be it resolved that I, Mark Winchell, Mayor of the City of Chaska, on behalf of the City Council, the citizens of Chaska, do hereby honor Myrtle Klemp for her long and productive life, rich in all ways that matter, and wish her many, many more years to come. In witness whereof I hereunto set my hand, the seal of the City of Chaska, the 16th day of July in the year of our Lord, 2018.
Thank
So I'd
you.
like to present this to you. Is your family here? Is your family here?
My daughter and my son.
Well, come on up here, daughter and son.
Holy moly.
You know, I've been, I've only met one other person that was 100 years old, and now this year, I met a 105-year-old and a 103-year-old.
Oh, my goodness.
So, it's great to have, must be something in the water here in Chaska, that's a good thing, so keep drinking water, everyone. Hafer will like that, won't he? But, so there, and if you guys would like to have a couple seconds, by all means, it's, anybody that's got your longevity, you can talk as long as you like.
I don't think you need to say anything.
Well, you look right up there and you talk into that microphone and
Okay.
say
Well, but I've enjoyed the living in Chaska these many years, and always had wonderful neighbors.
I'm just gonna move this down a little bit.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Like I said, we had some wonderful neighbors, and I've enjoyed all their company.
Well, that's fantastic. We sure are glad to have you in the community. And
Thanks.
happy birthday again,
Happy
of course.
birthday.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, like I said, I thought, when I, went to the last birthday party for the, one that was 105, I didn't think I could top that, and then here's Myrtle at our council meeting tonight, so I guess it's topped already, so thank you all for coming and appreciate it, so.
Impressive.
All right, is there anyone else here under visitor presentation? Not seeing anything, so we're gonna go ahead and move forward. Next is item 6, approving minutes of our previous meeting minutes. Again, if there are no corrections or additions, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Motion by Councilmember Geisler,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Schultz. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moves us on to consent agenda. Thank goodness that we didn't have any more because we'd run out of letters. I think this is the longest consent.
Good grief.
Normally we have about A through D, maybe G. We're all the way up to W this
Almost ran out of the
time
alphabet.
around. So,
There's a lot of things to consent to today.
yes, a lot of things to consent to today. So, with that, I would entertain a motion for consent. And again, for anybody that's not certain out there, consent agenda items where we need to take action, but not necessarily discussion, but anything on here can be discussed that.
There's one I would like to kind of talk about a little bit or mention or discuss, item 7L, accepting Nicholas Mason's
I was gonna do the
resignation
same.
as a commissioner on the Park and Recreation Board. Known Nick well before he got on the park board. We've worked together on a couple of other things before he finally got involved with the park board, and now he's served the park board almost three full terms, and he's just been a great advocate for the city of Chaska, this community, and has worked hard on the park board. He's going to be an asset. It's sorry to lose, and all around good guy as well.
He was also serving on our task force for City Square West. So he'll
And
be
he
missed there too.
also served on the task force for the Commitment to Community Task Force, was that back in 2012, I think? 11 or 12?
And he's our neighbor.
Yeah, the thing about Nick is he was a former reporter out of New York,
Yeah.
so he certainly used that because he was always looking for all the information and got all the information before he ever made any decisions. So I think that was, I told Nick that when I got his resignation, that was his strong point, that ability to be able to reach out and get that information that he needed. And I agree with you that he, it's unfortunate. He's resigning for health reasons, but that's far more important than for him to serve out his, the rest of his term.
Absolutely.
And so I, along with you, I want to say thank you for all of his service, and I hope that his health continues to get better, so.
Just a note on that, we do plan to try to have him come to the next council meeting, because we will have the dog park. Either that meeting or the August 6th meeting, one of the next two meetings, to have him come and we could provide him some formal recognition.
And just for anyone out there, that was one of his #1 goals, was the dog park, and so he was hoping to see that through, but just didn't quite able. We're close, we're getting closer on that, but we're not quite there yet, so.
I'm glad Chris brought that, or Councilmember Schultz brought that off of the, and talked about it. 'Cause
I was gonna get a motion and second and bring it up under discussion. That was
Huge asset.
on my
We
list
sure will
as
miss
well,
it.
so. All right, anything else?
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Motion by Councilmember Schultz.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilmember Geisler to approve consent agenda. Again, discussion?
Got a lot of good things going on in here in this consent agenda. It's nothing to really just glass over, but there's a
No.
lot of good things moving forward. We took the former coat project in here, so looking forward to seeing that take another step and improving.
Yep.
A lot of different stuff happening, and so excited to help move all these projects further along.
Got the brewery project, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a little bit here, so, yes, a lot of items, so. All right, last call. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moves us into item number 8. Adopt resolution 2018-99 brewery project. Resolution approving and authorizing execution of an amended and reseeded purchase agreement. And
Restated.
oh,
Yep.
I read that twice, it didn't seem right. So restated purchase agreement and amend the restated purchase and development agreement.
Yep.
Mayor and Councilmember, I'm gonna turn this over to Nate.
Right. Yeah, Mayor and council members, this is really an update to the purchase and development agreement that was approved by you all January 9th of 2017. So at that point in time, we were approving a purchase and development agreement where the EDA would be purchasing from the county, the former Public Works building off of Highway 62, Old 212, kind of on the west side of town, in order to then sell it to a group led by Alex Young, who would then redevelop that piece of property to create a brewery up there. Since then, we've continued to work towards that goal of having the brewery put up there. We've passed a conditional use permit. We've created a TIF district. We have also passed an ordinance for a brewery tap room to conduct on-sale and off-sale and obtain a license to do that on the site. So we've really teed it up to be able to complete that work. Some other things have changed as well. At that time, we had a group led by Jesse Sams, who is going to be operating the brewery out of that location. Some things have happened for him where he's decided to withdraw from being involved in the project, and as a result of that, we pulled in Aaron Schramm, who runs Schramm Winery and Vineyards. Schramm Vineyards and Brewery, right? Out of Laketown Township off of Airport Road, basically smack dab between Chaska and Waconia. So he's expressed interest in the past, looking for locations that he could do a brewery in Chaska as well. And so knowing that he had that interest, we introduced him to Alex after Jesse Sams was unable to continue. And it's from there, I think, moved along pretty quickly. We've had a lot of good success, and we feel a lot of confidence right now that Aaron's going to be able to move forward and establish the brewery up there in somewhat short order. So what we wanted to do is to amend that purchase agreement to reflect those changes. We've got a new ownership team technically as well. Aaron's going to be a part of the ownership team of the building itself, and then making sure that the agreements also reflect that Aaron will be running, Schramm Brewery or whatever he ends up calling it for sure, out of that location too. So I don't want to take too much of Aaron's thunder. I know he's got some things he wants to say on the project to introduce himself, but we thought this would be a good opportunity to make those updates and changes, reflect them accurately in the development in the purchase agreement, and then also to introduce the new group to you all. The last thing I guess I'll add on this is we are in this, as a part of this updated purchase and development agreement, setting August 16th to close. And so we'll be moving towards that, and as of today, I feel more confident than ever that we will actually be able to, achieve that closing on the site. So we're excited about it.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
who wants to come on up?
Come on.
You don't need to talk, just bring samples.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring the flight of Aaron. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, staff, Alex Young, Aaron Schramm, and Brad Kerber. Brad and I were here before you last in end of 17, fall of 17, worked all winter with Jesse. We were not successful, so we have been working now with Aaron on a similar concept, and he'll describe that in greater detail. But the larger components of the project on the construction side, Brad's in and active and working on that, code compliant, reuse the building, architecture. We do plan to close by August 16th. So all the big chunks of the project are in motion. We're working with the lender. The three of us will be on the ownership side of the building. Aaron obviously owns his business that will lease the space long-term. So he, like the two of us, has an entrepreneurial spirit, has a lot of energy, and can share more with you about what he's up to. If you have any questions on the development or construction or architecture side, we'd be happy to answer those as well. So, thank you.
Leave me here? Yeah. First of all, this has just been a great opportunity for me. For those that have been to our establishment, or my establishment in Lake Town, we're out of space. So my wife and I built it from the ground up, and we had a full-time job throughout the whole deal, and we finally were able to quit our day jobs 2 years ago. And the cool part is that we're known for our wine more, but our beer has been taking over quite rapidly in our location. So it's kind of a good thing. And 2 years ago, I was looking at the same spot, and when this came up, I just got really excited. And the cool part why I bring this up is that when I did more research, I found Chaska had 4 breweries a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And so not too many people on the face of this earth get a chance to open a brewery in a town with this much history. So it's really cool. I'm just starting to get into a lot of the historical significance of brewing in this city. And it's a gold mine. I mean, when I look at the amount of history and even items that are still around. So for me, I'm obviously going to bring our name over. I think I'm getting convinced with that by a lot of our members and our customers even. So we'll officially probably call it something with Schramm House, but it'll be a German-inspired brew hall. But also that was the original plan. I'm still going that route, but I'm also going to flare in Chaska history in it. And for me, I'm just starting to dig in, and there's a lot of work there. And the Historical Society I'm starting to work with, and it's just really cool and an honor. And I want to say thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. And yeah, do you have any questions for me?
I'm just so grateful you could step up at the time when the other one didn't work out.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Just keep it moving.
Keep
almost
going.
Flawlessly keep it moving. So glad you're coming in.
Well, and it's exciting for us as well. You're obviously experienced in running a brewery in this condition. You're bringing a known following. I've spent some time out at your facility myself. I'm not going to say how much, but you definitely have a strong following, and so it's exciting will be exciting to see those people coming here for those brews that you're mixing up out there.
Yeah, thank you.
And the beer and wine combination being quite unique.
Yeah,
so
I got it.
that's pretty cool.
I was gonna say, I got the question about the wine. I think I know it, but you may as well tell our 1.2 million viewers,
Yeah.
so they all hear it from you.
I would love to do also wine there. Unfortunately, the state of Minnesota will not allow me with the current laws.
Aw.
Yeah. If I had another 6 acres there, I could maybe pull it off. But unfortunately, with this is only a brewery. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah,
Because you need to grow the wines, or to grow the grapes right there, is that the part of the deal?
apart for a state farm winery license, you have to have 10 acres. And also there's other hoops to jump through, but in that location, you couldn't put grapes up, you couldn't do any of that with 4 acres there, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and so fortunately or unfortunately, if you're a beer guy, then we focus more on beer, but yeah. For the wine side, then you just gotta go up to, 15 miles down the road, so, yeah.
So who do we start lobbying to change those?
There you go.
Trust me, I've been lobbying for a long time. The state takes alcohol very serious, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to echo the same sentiments. I think it's great coming in. We're kind of one of the last ones to the table here with a brewery, and I think it's going to really help out coming in with a known name and it's been very successful as yours has been, so I'm really excited about that. And that is, we've been really good over the last month here about cleaning up things that have been sitting there for a long time. This is another one, because I get asked a lot, when's that brewery gonna open? When's that? I don't know how many times I said, well, 6 months ago, 6 months from now. And so now I think we're gonna actually have a real viable date here in the near future, and you can probably get going sooner because you can bring it over until you get your process all set up, so.
That's the funny part. I could move my brewery system in 2 days and be up and running, but we all know construction takes a little longer.
Sure. So, I mean, just for anybody that is watching, just a wild guess, what do you think this is gonna take you? 3, 4, 7 months? I don't know. And just, it's a guess. I'm
Yeah.
gonna leave it at that. I won't
We're gonna
push
put a very loose date around just saying early 2019, the first quarter. Now,
Okay.
as you guys know, construction's hot right now, right?
Yep.
I mean, this is the season, right? So it's hard to lock people in and.
Brad will get it.
Brad's
Yeah.
good.
And, you know, we're still going through architecture approval of that right now, and, you know, you could probably speak more to that, but we gotta get through that process, and I would say probably within the next 2 months, we will probably have a more harder date once we know, and you even know too, the sewer and water, all that,
Yep.
it's just, bids need to go out, and that's out of my control.
I mean, the good thing is we're pretty much set up for that. We just gotta really let the bids.
Yep.
You know, so.
Yeah.
Did kinda all that pre-work on that, so that helps to have that in place too, so.
I think our big thing is trying to get all the exterior done before the snow flies, and then the
Right.
interior, right? So, so I think we're pretty safe in saying early 2019, we could have something.
Well, that's awesome.
We're hoping to do that.
They won't hear you, Brad, unless you come up there.
No,
Will
we
you
can't.
pick that mic up a little bit? I kinda had it down low for.
Brad Kerber, Kerber Family Homes. We're trying to get the plans all done through the architect, submit them to John at the city here, and just be able to get at least the exterior stuff done before weather permits us for doing so. Then build out and, you know, hopefully we'll be able to open as soon as we can in that first quarter.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
I got one more thing for you
Absolutely.
guys. I'm gonna need a lot of help. Said there's a lot of history here, and if you guys know of people that have been around during those early years that could help on any sort of fashion, yeah, please. And I'm gonna be reaching out and trying to get as much of this history as possible. Schnitzelblock, yeah.
Schnitzelblock. Wally Low.
Yes, yeah. And there's a brewery truck, I think that's gonna be donated to me.
The Briar's truck.
Yeah.
Well, it's been donated to the History Center, so I don't know what's gonna happen there. I know, you're looking, I know.
I was supposed
I
to,
know where that's going.
I was supposed to tell you that,
He
yeah.
slid
I
that-
figured
slid that
that.
in pretty smooth.
He did do that real smooth. And then it took me a second, but I know where that came from, so.
Yeah, I'm working with, just trying to dig up some history and any items and stuff too, as you can imagine, so, yeah.
If it's up to me, just tell them to give it to you.
Yeah, yeah.
I have no say in that.
Had Myrtle hook up with him.
I don't know,
Yeah,
is
her
there-
history.
I don't know, maybe is there something that could be, you know, I mean, sometimes, you know, museums loan out pieces.
Well, my buddy owns
You know?
that, that's what this is all about. He talked to him already.
Well, still,
So that's what that's all about. But I'm sure he'd love to have it out of his garage, but he just, he gave it to the History Center because he felt that it was important to keep it part of the city, but the History Center has nowhere to go with it. So
well,
if we
now,
could put it on
now there
loan
might
up
be an
there, it would be,
opportunity as
would
an
be an
on-loan
awesome.
piece. And
But
you
as
know,
much as he
that way
wants-
the public could see it as well, and
as much as he wants it out of his garage, he doesn't want to give it up. I know
Yeah, I
that.
noticed that, yeah.
I know that, but.
The final cool part, I just, you know, go on record here that we're trying to also, I got the well results back, and the water seems to be halfway decent, so we might be able to try to resurrect some old brews that Chaska did from a long time ago if I can find recipes. So that to me would be really, really neat, to bring a beer back that nobody's had for 100 years or 50,
Right.
you know.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so.
Awesome.
Yeah, Aaron reminded us that whatever 80% of beer is water, and what kind of water you have makes a difference.
Yeah.
So I mean, to have some of that original water would make a difference.
So you're gonna be able to keep the well up there then?
I'm trying, we'll see, we got a lot of work to do, but.
But you can usually keep a well if you're not using it for other than, like for water and grass, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
I shouldn't say that, but
We actually use well water.
engineers squirming over there already.
Brent just pointed at me, so I'm assuming there's conversations we're gonna be having here shortly.
Hey, I know nothing, whatever works.
Well, long story short, we use a well water at our current location, and it is better than the city water, plain and simple. And, you know, again, if it works for it, you know, we get it tested and get it certified and all that, but, it's a cool feature. You know,
Right.
Sure.
that you can imagine, bring back Chaska water, because you mentioned what's in the water, so.
That's right, the water,
Happy you're coming here.
look at Myrtle.
Yeah. She sure
Well,
is.
welcome. I think it's awesome. So, thank you for having the faith in Chaska and coming over here and bringing your business with, so appreciate it.
Commute for you, too.
Yeah, it is really short.
Nice.
And before these guys run away, Alex, I think you got an announcement about tomorrow night? I'll give you that floor again.
Yeah, thank you. So the Engler Health Center, of course, the tenants in the Engler Health Center are Catalyst Medical, Southwest Eye Care, and Town Dental. We're having our official first kind of open house tomorrow night, where the public will have an opportunity to come tour the building, tour the tenant spaces, refreshments, and a couple hors d'oeuvres will be provided. So that's from 5 to 8 o'clock tomorrow night. I realize that's a totally different subject and unrelated, but it's an opportunity to
Well,
make sure.
as long as you're here, I thought I'd give you that opportunity.
5:30, the chamber's having a ribbon cutting too.
That's correct.
But that is all open to the public, so it's not.
It is open to the public.
Yes.
That is correct.
Not a private event, yep.
It's not, and I am out of town, so if any
Grand
of the
opening,
other
will they
council could be there, it would
starting
be
to,
awesome.
to move in?
They've
after
been
this?
seeing some patients already,
Oh,
but
good.
this was an opportunity for us to finish up our project, and then the city street now is, I don't know, it's 90% finished. I mean, it's getting close, so you'll have an opportunity to see kind of that new extension there as well. It will eventually make its way to 140, so that's open now to the public as well.
Sweet.
So, yeah,
That's fun to go to that.
if you can make it, great.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Alex. All right, anything else for these guys? Otherwise, I don't think we did anything. We gotta do we probably have to vote on this, don't we?
Yes, sir.
One of those things,
If you could, yes.
if we could. Wouldn't that be something we sit up here and yap and forget about it? All right, with that, if there's no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
I would love to make a motion
right.
to approve this.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Schultz,
And I'd love to second that.
second by not Commissioner, yeah,
We're not there
council
yet.
member, we're not there yet.
Next meeting.
To adopt resolution 2018-99, the brewery project, and that's just basically restating the purchase agreement and amending the restated purchase agreement and development agreement. So, discussion. Exciting times.
Yes, very much so.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're good. Thanks, gentlemen. Welcome.
Good luck.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item 8B, adopt resolution 2018-97 and ordinance 951, approving the preliminary plat and rezoning of Harvest West Transition Development.
Mayor and council
Tradition,
members.
sorry.
Mayor and Councilmember, this is an item coming out of the Planning Commission. You did see the concept plan for this earlier. It's basically the extension of residential development on the west side of the new collector road that's up in this development area. Liz is here to go over the proposal here for the preliminary plat and rezoning and talk to you about sort of what the next stages in the process are.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. We're looking at a preliminary plat and rezoning request for the Harvest West development. So a couple aerials to show you of where this site is actually located. So it is, like Matt said, just west of the Collector Road that's partially constructed today off of Savannah Way. You also have the existing Harvest neighborhood with a portion of it built out just off of County Road 44 that you see on this aerial today. So the site is bounded with 3 street frontages there, as you can see, by Savannah Way, County Road 44, and then Highway 212. A couple other perspectives of the site area. So again, highlighted in the blue on this exhibit, and then more of a zoomed in approach there. So the preliminary plat request tonight is for 129 lots. They've kind of split it up by two different products that they're offering out there. So 49 cottage lots and then 80 village lots. This is a.
Would you explain the difference, please?
The cottage lots are, and I always get these mixed up, are the detached townhome type product.
Is it single level?
Yes. For those are mainly single level. And then the village lot is your typical single family, just a little bit smaller scale type product that you see kind of in their
So it's
existing
smaller
neighborhood.
than to the east?
Yes,
Oh.
smaller. So the 49 cottage lots and then the 80 village lot is the makeup out there. And then the rezoning request tonight is rezoning the 57 acres from an open zoning district to a planned residential district, specifically PRD 72. In terms of the existing conditions out there, so as you can kind of see on this exhibit here, it was mainly used as farmland and pasture space or an agricultural use out there. Within the 57 acres, there are 3 wetlands on site that have been delineated. I will preface that one of the wetlands on the site is still currently being evaluated, one that kind of dissects not only this site, but the adjacent property owner to the east here. So that's probably a question that, or a concern that might be brought up tonight. But it is currently being evaluated between the developer and the property owner together.
So what was that you said? I kind of wasn't catching on.
And I want to show more of a exhibit that kind of shows what wetland I'm talking about here, but it is kind of on the southern half of the site area that we're looking at tonight. But this one is kind of the wetland that's in question tonight, mainly brought up by the adjacent property owner in terms of how it was delineated and what the actual history has shown in terms of its size. There has been some history in terms of a drain tile that runs along into their property and how it drains into this wetland. So it has been brought up as a question in terms of how the size of the wetland has been affected by this drain tile and the history of it breaking. And they could probably go into a little bit more detail tonight if they wish. But it's been brought up as a question and a concern about kind of the overall size of that wetland where it has been delineated today. As I mentioned, the 3 major street frontages is an item of significance for this area and how the site kind of adapts to that or provides screening to those different frontages, as I'll go into a little bit more detail with their landscape plan. They also have an existence of major trees within the site, mainly in the center, that's designated as park space, which is planned to remain. And then this exhibit is basically showing kind of the makeup of those two different product types, color-coded so that you can easily define where those different products are located within this proposal. So again, the cottage lot is kind of more of the smaller product style out there, detached townhome type of setup. They still will be doing an anti-monotony or comply with our anti-monotony standards out there. But the way you'll see these is kind of more set up as a detached townhome type product, and those lots range around the 53-foot width marker. And then the village.
Would that have a homeowners association then?
Yes, it will.
Just the yellow?
Well, the whole neighborhood.
Oh, the whole neighborhood.
Will have a homeowners association. I can't remember if this one will have a sub-association with it, or if it's all the same. They could.
Typically, we have a sub-association for the villas and cottages.
Okay. You said that there will be a sub-association for the villas and
So
cottages.
is this, these village homes, is that a new concept? That it's a smaller than the traditional house that they're building
Yes.
To the east?
So this will be a new product that's introduced to Chaska.
I mean, are they 2, 3 bedroom or what, or?
And I think they range in how many bedrooms, 2 to 3 bedrooms, and they can probably speak to kind of their different makeups. But, I mean, it is a traditional single family, just on a much smaller scale than what you see across the street.
Okay. Are they slab on grade or are they basements?
They have basements with those. So a couple pictures and elevations here just to give you kind of a visual of those different type of products. So the cottage homes or the detached townhome type product is located above. So again, kind of small in scale and one level living, even though they'll have some aesthetics on there that'll basically show like it is 2-level living, but it's just purely aesthetics for this product. And then the village homes are actual pictures of products they've done in other neighborhoods below there. So in terms of the appearance of it, it does look much like what they've done over in their existing neighborhoods. But again, as you can see, it's just a little bit more smaller in scale.
Is it fair to say that they're an example like in Clover Ridge neighborhood?
I would say that's a fair statement.
Yeah, if you go, like, I don't know if anybody knows where Nate lives, but around Nate's neighborhood, on the south end of Clover Ridge, well, now everybody knows.
What's that?
But,
That's all right, our addresses are out there, yours should be.
a lot of the homes in the Clover Ridge neighborhood are very similar style to this.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. So in terms of the site and how it lays out, the main entrance to this development will occur off of Savannah Way, the collector road there, and line up with Vista View Drive, which extends into the east side of the neighborhoods like Savannah Estates and the Harvest, their first edition neighborhood. So the entrance into this site will basically line up with that and provide the main route into this development. The entrance into the site will line up basically with the main entrance into the public park area, which they've shown on their plans as dedicating roughly 12 acres to the city for public park space. The program of that park, they've only put together a very initial type setup there, but the program and the details and the layout of that will all get determined at a later time when most of this development has moved in and we've had a chance to gather the input from the people living there, the residents who decide to move in to that area.
So that'd be a very similar process to any neighborhood park that we have out there, that we would lead that process and then have, you know, a neighborhood get involved in helping to design it.
Design what, but we would still go ahead and do it.
Yep.
Right. In terms of trails and connections, so there is a trail that'll come off basically that Vista View Drive thoroughfare there and provide entrance into that park. Another location or access is in between a couple of the cottage lots as well. Sidewalks will be on both sides of the streets, which is typical for any new development. Already touched on the wetlands, so again, further evaluation will occur on this wetland that's on the east edge of the site there. This is their landscape plan. So there was about a month in between them getting their planning commission approval up until now so that they could work on a noise study since they are adjacent to a state highway. So they have been able to conduct that noise study in between that time and now to give us an understanding of if any further requirements are needed to be within the state noise standards out there and where the lots are proposed. And the conclusion of that study indicated that they will need to put in certain window levels in order to mitigate the noise from the highway and County Road 44. So they'll have to do that with the outer layer that abuts Highway 212 as well as the second layer of homes that abuts Highway 212. So that'll be something that they'll have to implement into their houses that are affected by that. And I believe their anticipation right now is just to incorporate that higher level type window all throughout the homes that abut the highway there.
I mean, that's their requirement. Well, that's not our requirement, is it?
That's the state's requirement, or that was the conclusion.
Whenever they build
from-
next to a state highway, they have to do that?
Yes,
Oh.
yes,
They
they
did
have
a
to
noise
meet.
study, and now they have to perform some sort of noise mitigation with the
Right.
construction itself.
Ah, okay.
Yep, so that was the conclusion of the study, is that in order to stay within state noise standards, they have to implement this certain type window in order to
Okay.
fall within that. So that's what they plan to do. In terms of landscaping, so since they are abutting those three major roadways, screening was a big priority out here. I think on the Savannah Way side, our requirement to them was to basically match up with what was being done on the east side of the road at Savannah Estates and into the Harvest neighborhood as well. So they are showing a very similar landscaping plan over on that area with berming and a mix of mainly coniferous and then deciduous trees as well. County Road 44, they're also implementing some layered screening through landscaping over there. On this side, the grading or the grade is a little bit more depressed, so there is, in a sense, a natural berm happening there. So with the addition of trees out there, it will help provide a good buffer. And then on the north side, adjacent to Highway 212, there is an existing berm out there that's pretty significant in height. So with that in place, it will definitely provide adequate separation between the homes and the highway there. They provided a couple section drawings showing those different grade points. So the first one is showing that section through Highway 212 and the cottage lots over in this area. And as you can see, it's a significant berm present there. The second one they're showing is the houses adjacent to County Road 44. So as you can see, the grade there is definitely recessed compared to the road. And then the last one is the section drawing adjacent to Savannah Way. So they'll be providing some berming and then landscaping as well. So in terms of the park space, since this is a big piece of the development site, they are planning to dedicate roughly 12 acres to the city for that public park use, which was also highlighted in our Southwest Chaska plan as a future park area, so they are staying consistent with that. I think the only kind of thing to mention about this area that has been at least identified or anticipated is that there will be at least two kind of separate areas for this park, more of an active area for potentially a tot lot or courts or recreational courts, and then a passive area, which is more delved into that wooded steep slope and wooded area that I showed on the aerial exhibit. They've also provided a couple renderings, how you enter into the park, just to show how you view it from the thoroughfare into the development and into the main entrance of the park. This was basically done for us to see that the opening that they're providing will be significant and apparent to people who are trying to find the park. So in conclusion, we are asking you to make two motions tonight. One is to adopt Resolution 2018-97, which is approving the preliminary plat for the Harvest West, and then a motion to adopt ordinance number 951, which is approving the rezoning from the open zoning district to a planned residential district, PRD 72. Happy to answer any questions, otherwise the applicants are here as well.
Questions?
I think you know, the question I was gonna have, you're probably gonna already bring it up with the budding homeowner
The what?
being here. I think he just told you about the gentleman that's here to talk about it too, that lives next to it.
Oh. Okay.
Do you know him? Did you know?
Did you have something?
Sure.
Yeah, you can come on up.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Pat Rossi with Tradition Development, and it's been a bit of time since we were last here to discuss this project. I think it was last February when we were here for the concept level, and we were working with a national builder at that time to develop the area out here, and they would come in and perform the housing construction. Since that time, our plans have changed. We're going to be developing the lots for our internal builder. It's Robert Thomas Homes. So we've built the, we've been referring to them this evening, the cottage-style homes. They're detached townhomes, also known, generally as villa-style homes. And they range in size from, they're single level, but with a basement. They range in size on that main level from 15 to about 1,900. Oftentimes the owners will opt for the completion of the lower level, and we typically see them option out at about 2,500 to 2,800. And those units, I remember our conversation from last February, there was concern about the 3-car garages. So we have 2 different styles. We have a front-loading style that has a 2-car entry, but some of them have this tandem garage, right?
Yep.
So you have a double stack.
Basically L-shaped garage.
Yeah.
So you have a bay in the back and then 2 in the front. So if
Right.
you have like a boat or something, you can put that back.
And then you can put bikes and all that stuff.
Right,
Yep.
lawnmowers. And then
Yeah,
we,
you got a number of them up there now. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen them.
So then we have those are the front loaders. We also have a side load option, and all of the side load units have a 3-car garage. So they're single stack, but a full 3-car on those side loaders. So I think the split with the lot layout right now are 29 of the front loaders and 20 of the side load units. So we got a nice variety there. And then with the village style product, we also call it the heritage products in some of our other developments. It's a little bit smaller lot, but they're still a good size home. I think they start out, they're all 2 stories. They start out at about 1,900 square feet for the 2 stories and up to 2,500, and again with a full basement underneath there. They are available with both a 2 and a 3-car garage. So that's an explanation of our units that we're planning for. I think there's 79 of those village-style homes. We have been working to confront some of the challenges out there with respect to right-of-way and site setbacks, and most recently this noise issue. We did get our report back from our noise consultant, as Liz mentioned, and we're gonna have to upgrade the windows. They recommended just doing the windows to a higher sound insulating property on just the sleeping rooms, on the bedrooms that would face the highway, face 212. The first 2 rows, I've talked with the president of our building company, and they will plan to put in that higher level window in all windows of those first 2 rows of homes there. So it should get down below it's the nighttime threshold that needs to be met. We've set that information off to the MnDOT noise people. I did get a phone call back today that the primary contact had indicated she had looked at it, didn't have any comments, was waiting to hear back from some other folks today, but if we didn't hear back, they're going to issue a letter probably without any comments, which would mean those window substitutions would suffice. And then with the wetland issue that has been discussed a little bit tonight, I think Mr. Taylor is here to speak about tonight. We did take part in a enhanced wetland study now. We had our third-party consultant do some additional work there. They provided that initial report to the city and the technical evaluation panel, and I understand they're reviewing that now. So we're happy to do whatever we can do to address the issue with Mr. Taylor and get that wetland, controlled at a level that's acceptable to both Mr. Taylor, but the technical evaluation panel as well. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
And real quick, Liz or Kevin, is that a condition in the approvals? Okay, to get to question of, it's a condition in approval to make sure that that happens before the final approval is actually completed.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
How's Mr. Taylor here? I don't, was there something you needed to, I'm not sure if you had anything to
Well,
say.
I
mean, it
just-
sounds like they're working with you and,
Yeah,
I mean-
it, up until about 3 o'clock this afternoon, I would have said differently. I contacted my district representative, and I was at the prior planning commission meetings and raised some of my objections, and they said it would be better suited in this location here. But since this is the preliminary
Right.
plat, and not the final, I think it's an opportune time to make sure that this situation is addressed. In a brief history on this is, my story starts back in 1976, when my father-in-law acquired this property that I'm currently on. I don't know,
Hey, Liz,
may
can you
I
pull up that
take
overhead?
a slide back?
It shows from above. Need a feel for that.
Actually.
The
go-
other one?
Yeah,
This
we'll
one?
go, yeah, this one will work here. If you look at the map, this is me here, my piece here. We acquired this back in 1990 from my father-in-law. And prior to that, again, he purchased it in 76. He's a farmer and thought it would be a good opportunity to raise livestock, cattle, and farm some of the surrounding communities. At that time, this wetland was non-existent. There was no standing water. Maybe if it was a really wet spring, you'd have a little bit of a soft area in this location. But for many years, he raised cattle there and farmed some of the surrounding over on the other side of the Savannah Way. Really, my involvement starts back in 2015 when I noticed all the construction going on down the road for the first phase of the development that Traditions had started. And, you know, that's progress. It's moving this way. So I was kind of stunned to see that there were some heavy trucks and earth-moving equipment that moved into this area over here as indicated by this wetland. I saw what was going on down there and I immediately approached all of the crew and the workers down there and I said, we've got a common drain line, or excuse me, a drain tile, which serves this low swale in my area, along with the lower portion over here of what used to be the Kerber farm. If you dig here, you run the chances of rupturing that drain tile. Okay, yeah, no problems. Well, that was in October of 2015. They did the work, they mined topsoil to bring over to their phase one finishing development to dress up all the lands over there. I thought it kind of odd at that point because I'm a EHS manager, environmental health and safety manager, and I deal with people like the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency under the guise of general contracting, not as a individual contractor. But I know there are regulations as far as what can and cannot be done when you start disrupting soils. Number one, you have to have some type of erosion control and also a stormwater pollution prevention program. I went online and realized that they had none of this. As the story goes on that following spring, water starts creeping up in my backyard, and I had to make a couple of phone calls to see if I could get some resolution on this. And they're all saying, well, it's a wet year, you know, it's nothing to worry about. And I said, you guys have ruptured our drain tile. And okay, we'll take a look into it. Well, they never really did anything with it other than the fact that as the summer progressed, the water level went down. And, you know, eventually they had promised that they were going to get in there and do something. Well, come the following year, I have the same issue. Spring comes, my backyard is flooding. This time, it's starting to approach my drain field in my mound system, and it's within feet of my, you know, encroaching. The elevation there is a pretty minimal grade. Another 2 feet, and it would have been in my basement. At that time, they came with some pumps and tried to pump it down and rectify the situation. And then they said, yeah, we're gonna fix it, we'll fix it. Well, I'm not out there every day monitoring what's happening. The water level did go down after they pumped it. 2017 comes along in spring, and the same thing again. The water line is way up. Again, I contacted Matt at the city, you know, to try to get some resolution to this, and nothing seems to be happening. That year, in the summer of 2017, they decided to go on out with a couple of backhoes, and they're going to put in a new drain tile to fix the one that was ruptured. And they did the work, and I was thrilled because I thought, great, finally a resolution. It had been 2 years, nothing's been done. Well, come to find out that when they did this work, they didn't pull a permit. And I got confirmation on that from the Soil and Water Conservation District as they were doing their work. The person I spoke to at Soil and Water said, had they contacted us, we would have told them exactly at what elevation they needed to put the drain at. And they didn't. They set it right at grade. So this year comes along in spring, and it starts flooding again. And I try to get Matt involved to get, you know, some resolution on it. And, you know, finally, we come to these preliminary proposals, and they're showing this delineation of this wetland. And I'm surprised because this is the delineation as it is now, what they've created. Historically, if you look back, there's never been any standing water or any issues. We boarded a horse here for the last 6 years, which unfortunately, because of the water and the amount of problems we had back there, it developed laminitis and we had to put it down. It's not important to this case, but it's, so as I look at this proposal, I'm seeing these marks that have gone from a dry piece of land, all of a sudden now it's encroached into my area back here. That compounded with setbacks and some of the requirements that they're looking at in developing this neighborhood, it's rendering my piece worthless, or a portion of my piece worthless. Today, I'm at a state where this area of my lawn back here and in my pasture, I can't even get my mower back here to mow this area. I've got about 1/3 of my property that I've not been able to use because of this. Now, I've suffered some damages. I'm feeling it. It's only been, you know, I've been trying to work with Matt and get some resolution on this. At the last planning commission, there was the talk about maybe doing a further wetland delineation study. And I haven't heard anything all the way up until about 3 o'clock this afternoon that finally, Matt informed me that some city, or excuse me, some state agency has agreed that this water level is higher than what it should be. So I've been fighting this battle for 3 years. And, you know, it looks like maybe we're at a possibility of getting some action on it. But I'm asking, or I'm recommending a no vote on this preliminary proposal until they fix the problem. Fix the problem, get it resolved, and then knock yourself out. It's a beautiful plan. I have no gripes with it. But it's pinching me. It's causing me some hardship. And I've been really diligently trying to work on this over the past 3 years. And I'm not the enforcement agency. I'm not the governing body of things like this. I've notified who I thought would be in charge, and it doesn't seem like anything has been resolved. So, those are my 2 cents.
And just that if I can, it is in one of the, it's in one of their agreements that this has to be prepared to move on. So as far as a preliminary about devoting the no piece of it, is if they don't meet all that, then it doesn't go any further. So,
Okay.
So for us to vote no on it really doesn't,
Right.
doesn't fix the problem.
I guess I wasn't-
You're far better for us to vote yes.
Yes,
And now it's part of the conditions
yes.
for this development.
And
So-
that's, to me, that's agreeable. You know, prior to that knowledge, I did not know that that was a conditional request. That was,
Did it just become a condition recent?
I don't know, Kevin, if you, I know it was talked about in the planning commission, I don't know if you were
It was
listening.
added during the planning commission meeting.
Say again?
It was added during the planning commission meeting that
So
will
it's
have.
it was added as a
Okay.
condition at the planning.
Yes, it was, that it needs to
Yeah.
be resolved before we give final plat.
there, my understanding is there was gonna be some more investigation into the delineation of the wetlands. I was not under the impression that it is conditional resolution for, but I'm good with it.
Is that, I mean, is that the way it is? Okay.
Yes.
I just
Is
wanna make
is there
sure that-
further investigation going on in it, or?
Yeah, staff will be working with all of the agencies, and as I mentioned to Carl, is that, you know, before this goes back and you see this again, that we will walk through the process and, as a matter of fact, go through the follow-up steps with the state agencies who identify the wetlands and basically do the determinations, and inform Carl as to what the outcomes are, before council sees that again.
Because if it was previously drain tiled and they broke the drain tile by taking dirt out, and then they tried to fix the drain tile but didn't fix the drain tile, and he still has the issue.
Yes.
So even if it was a wetland 100 years ago, the drain tile corrected that for decades. But my bigger concern, or big concern too, is how quick they can do it, because he has a sewer, he's got a mound system. He's on a septic system. He's not on city sewer. And
Now,
having-
currently, and just to clarify, the waters have resided, but this area that, at least in the delineation, it contains standing water. In fact, last week, somebody from the Metropolitan Mosquito Control knocked on my door and said, do you mind if we come on back here and sprinkle a little voodoo back here for, and that's never been, I mean,
Yes,
really?
sir.
Really? So, it's just been a very aggravating experience for both my wife and myself, to try to get resolution. And I understand, you know, tradition's intent on doing what they want to do, but I've got some concerns because I've been made some assurances in the past it was going to be remedied, and only for them to come in the darkness of night and try to put a Band-Aid on it to say it's fixed. Well, I want to make sure it's fixed and it's fixed appropriately.
Especially with your septic system.
I mean, I would think
Close.
with the storm sewer and everything going in there, you got a better chance of fixing it now than probably you do trying to find out where that has to go. Trying to repair what was already used to be
Right.
there.
Right,
Because now they can take it right into the storm sewer.
yeah. But, again, my concern also is, you've just added, how many square feet of hard surface runoff area that's gonna be dumping water into this lowland, that could potentially just multiply or exacerbate what is going on.
Well, if
And-
the system's designed right, it shouldn't.
I was gonna say, it shouldn't, but
No, that's
I
part of
have
the
to-
city's stormwater review process, is that the wetlands that are there essentially take the water, the amount of water that's coming to them today, so that the wetlands remain intact, but we're not adding to the system or adding to the wetlands beyond what's there today.
Okay. Well, we'll, like I said, that's just part of one of the conditions to have this approved, is that has to be resolved.
Very
So
good.
we'll just have to, like I said, I think you're far better off having us vote yes than no.
Understandably, yes.
And I think that's a good way to move this forward, and hopefully you get resolved and they can start their process.
Very good.
So,
Things start
I hope
the
that's fair, and we'll just, stay on top of it, and hopefully, we can get that.
Well, that's part of the planning process, is to identify these issues as
Right.
we're going through, and if there are ones, to put conditions to say that they need to be addressed.
And, all those conditions have to be met before the next, before we move on and get them a final, so.
Well,
All right.
and I'm hopeful that, because it kind of sounds like there's been some shortcuts that have been taken here in trying to, as he's indicated, Band-Aid or remedy the situation. And I'm hoping that moving forward, this can be taken a lot more seriously and addressed in a more serious nature and finalized. Water continues to be a problem for always people, and if it's not properly addressed, it's just going to be an ongoing aggravation for then future residents. And so, if it's not addressed up front and addressed properly, it's just transferring that aggravation onto residents who have no course of action in the future. And so I'm hopeful that this can be dealt with in a proper manner and at a level that's really that the residents have a long-term positive outlook on the overall neighborhood versus having to be flooded out all the time.
Agreed.
Thank you, council
All right,
members. Mayor?
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. All right. So we have to move, again, we'd have to make two motions here. If we're done with discussion, I'd be looking for, we'll start with resolution 2018-97.
I'll make a motion that we approve that resolution, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so I have a motion by
With the condition.
Councilmember Geisler, adopting resolution 2018-97, which is the preliminary plot.
And I'll go ahead and second it.
Okay, second by Councilmember Schultz. Discussion. Again, I think it's very clear that that's a real concern there, that we make sure that that is definitely has resolved before it gets brought back to us.
And it's in his favor that he brought it now, so it's on the record.
Yep.
Should it not actually become a permanent fix to the problem? Yes.
All right. Any further? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now I'd be looking for ordinance 951, which is a zoning change.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Schultz,
I'll second that.
second by Councilmember Geisler to adopting ordinance 951. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're done. Thank you. Take a look at that. All right.
Back the corner, so.
We are on item number 9, which is bills. Discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make the motion to approve the bills.
Motion by Councilmember Geisler,
Second.
second by Councilmember Schultz to pay the bills. Discussion? Hearing none. Nate, we call roll?
Yes, Councilmember Schultz,
Yes.
great. Councilmember Geisler,
Yes, yes.
and Mayor Winchell.
Absolutely. All right, moves us on to item number 10, other business. Councilmember Geisler.
Not much this time, just wanted to remind everybody of two huge events the next 2 weekends. First one being Fire and Ice, and there's a ton of things to do between July 20th and 22nd. Fireman's Park, Chaska, and gosh, I hope everybody will partake in this because there's so much to do, so much fun stuff. And they can, if they're not sure what the schedule of events are, where is that? I was gonna have it marked, and I didn't before. Look up the Facebook page. I think they do have a Facebook page for this. They also have a website for it. So
I think
just-
Park and Rec.
Park and Rec?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
on the community center.
Is that where it is?
Website,
Okay.
you can easily get it there.
Because I was looking for
Our-
the web
our,
address, and it's not
website
on
will
here.
link to it as well.
But just for the details of the actual schedule for both Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because there's quite a list of things to do and different things that people might want to partake in, whether it be kids or not, but fun event. And then the very next
Sum it up,
weekend.
if you don't mind.
Huh?
If I interrupt, sum it up real quick.
Sure.
Bands, food, beverages, fireworks. Bring-
Bonspiel.
Bingo.
Bonspiel, bring your party cans. Just saying.
Very good.
There's a lot of
Good
bees
way
in
to
that.
check mark it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good way.
the website's actually fireandicebondspiel.com. So
Thank you.
if
Okay, 'cause
anyone
it wasn't
does
on
want to
here,
go to
so-
that, there's also the schedule, but I think Councilmember Schultz also summed it up pretty well, too.
Yeah, check, 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 check. So,
Say, who is that masked man up there?
yeah. Okay, so they've got an address to go to now, so they can see the schedule. If they didn't, this came as a mailing, I believe, with our water bill. Didn't it? I think it did. But anyway, and the other one is, of course, River City Days, and again, whew, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have busy weeks for us, you guys. But that's coming the weekend after. And we don't have another council meeting until after that, do we? Right?
Excuse me?
We don't have another council meeting. Both these events will be gone by then, so. But
for
I
River
just hope
City
everybody
Day-
will attend. There's just so much planning goes into it, and I just hope everybody comes out and has a really good time.
And just to tag onto that, for
Please
River
do.
City Days, we will be getting out a schedule to the council members
Good.
and the mayor.
Great.
So you can sign up for your times at the booth.
Yeah, I really do look forward to that. I hope people, seek us out and stop by and come chat with us. Usually there's a booth the city puts up and talk about various topics, and it's really a great opportunity to get a chance to have residents stop by and have a chat, and so I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, with this year in particular, we're having a focus B discussion about City Square West and the redevelopment and where we're at in the planning concept for that right now. So I think it's gonna be a good opportunity to introduce that to the community and to get their feedback too.
I'm sure people have been hearing City Square West, but they have no clue what we're talking about, and it'll be an opportunity to show them the concept plans to date.
Yeah,
And,
we've kind of talked about it a little bit in past events like this, and our River City Days where we've had it at the booth, but, we're just getting into more and more details, and so it's, exciting time information to share.
Very much so.
Yeah, as long as we're on the topic, there will be a booth at the Fire and Ice event to learn more about the City Square West.
One more thing
As
to
well,
go with
so-
everything else.
Just keep learning about that, yeah.
Fabulous.
It'd be hard to pick what to go to. Just take my sleeping bag down there and just stay. It's almost round the clock. Good grief. So fun. Anyway, that's all I have.
Well, you don't need to schedule events, you just show up.
Just show up and don't
Just
leave.
Bring your track shoes and
Leave
run
after-
from event to
When
event.
the firework happens, then it's time to think
They
about
do
it.
put on an awfully nice fireworks show. That was great last year. Really good. So, that's it.
Yep. So,
Great.
that's it?
That's it for me. Thank you.
Councilmember Schultz?
No, nothing. Those are really kind of the big key things coming up, Fire and Ice and River
Huge.
City. It's exciting to see them happen, exciting to see the opportunity for the community to kind of get together and have some fun. And right now, at least, knock on wood, the weather for the weekend looks like it's gonna be pretty decent. Of course, this far out, you can't really count on any kind of forecast for sure, but, right now, currently, weather's looking pretty good for the weekend, so, exciting times. Fun
Yeah.
stuff.
It's exhausting couple weeks.
I actually did have something I wanted to bring up with Matt, just kind of in that Clover Ridge neighborhood. I'd have to look up the streets. Kind of noticed an area where they've kind of got some townhomes and condos that are building in there. Weeds are getting pretty tall.
Okay, yep, I know where you're talking about, sort of by the roundabout.
Yeah,
Drive, yep.
like it's to the point now the sidewalk isn't really even viable anymore.
Okay, we can
And
let
so
our
they've
public
had-
works staff know, they handle those weed checks, so.
The weeds are tall, and there's been some washout of dirt across that sidewalk, and it needs some attention.
Okay.
And that's it.
Nate?
Check. There's a couple things with Matt having to cut out a little bit early. I want to make sure that we were touching on. So I touched on the River City Days booth, so you can expect to see some information about that. A couple work sessions coming out, noted in Matt's bi-weekly, just to make sure that you're aware of. August 6th, we'll go through the 2017 financial audit. So we will have a work session prior to the council meeting for that. And August 20th, we'll have a work session as well to start discussions on the 2019 budget and tax levy. We do have council meeting scheduled for July 30th, and so that's a fifth Monday of this month. So we are planning to hold that. We do not have a work session there. So particularly with the first Monday in July having been canceled, we do want to make sure that we're holding that meeting on the 30th. Some security changes are going to be made in the near future here at the front desk for City Hall. So you'll notice those changes, I think maybe by the next time we have a council meeting. What we're doing is putting in basically a permanent door. And so right now we've got those folding sort of accordion doors. Those will be removed. And then we'll put a permanent door, continuing to have that waiting space. So there's just a couple of chairs in front of the front desk. That'll continue to be accessible. The door will be after that space. Really providing some security measure for staff so that people aren't able to just walk in there uninvited. So kind of a crowd control thing, and with that installation, then those accordion doors really won't be needed anymore. So you'll notice that change at City Hall coming up.
Is that gonna be a key fob then?
Not so far, So it will be a key, it will be a key to entry, but it won't be an electronic key fob type setup. So your standard key for that.
Okay.
Update on the dog park. So we'll make sure your key to the city is a part of operating that door.
I don't have a key to the city.
That's, sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, we all know that. So,
I can't get anywhere.
we're looking at July 30th to have an update on the council, or to the council on the dog park. So hopefully being able to make a final decision on that project and be able to present you, with the plans for how that's gonna look for the off-leash dog area, I guess is technically what
If
we're
we
gonna
did it on that site, would we be hiring that out to clear that, or is that gonna be city crews?
I think the way that Brian's been looking at it so far is that it could be something that his staff could largely handle, clearing out some of that underbrush. As we get towards those dates and things, maybe that's something that we'll continue to keep our eye on, just given the amount of extra work they're doing with the flood control and all those sorts of things. But so far, we've been considering that work that city staff could do. Also moving through. So yeah, a couple updates on economic development projects. A couple of them we dealt with tonight. And we will be having an EDA quick meeting after this just to formalize things that were adopted or accepted by council tonight as well. But Formicote, we are looking to close on this Wednesday. So Formicote will gain control of the site. We're continuing to move forward with the site clearance plans for that as well. On consent tonight, you notice that we denied all bids received for the site clearance, and we are gonna reopen that bid immediately. There's just sort of a technicality that occurred. We do wanna allow for the, for everyone who submitted bids to make sure that their bids were accurate and be able to make sure that we're getting the best deal for the city out of that as well. So that's what that process is about. We have been working with Formacote on that change, so they're fully aware and they're planning for that accordingly. I think there's enough that they're able to do with their planning for the project that it shouldn't impact them too substantially. So that one's on July 18th. July 22nd, July 26th, we've set to close for the hotspot redevelopment, so transferring the ownership of the current hotspot, or the former hotspot site, to the redeveloper, and then that portion of the CDA parking lot to the developer as well, so then they'll have control and be able to start moving forward on that work. And finally, like I mentioned before, we've got August 16th pegged for closing on the brewery project, so get them up and running. And we did, in consent, approve to put bids out, or advertise for bids to extend the water and sewer up to that site with the council meeting tonight too. So a lot of things moving forward there. Other than that, I think I'll stop now.
These are a little long.
Yeah, you're kind of spending maybe a little too much time around Matt to get so winded like this.
While you're Mr. Knowledgeable tonight, any word on a start on Aldi's complex out by Kohl's?
Yes. So they have gone through and they've got everything they need lined up to pull their building permit. They haven't quite done it yet. And so we're expecting that, part of that is that they're moving through the process to complete the plat. So we're expecting that they're going to be pulling that permit, hopefully, I think it was sometime in August, September timeframe.
I mean, it's gonna happen, correct?
It is, yeah, yep. They're just continuing to work through the process.
I've got asked a little bit about that, and I go, I thought they'd already be there, so.
That's what I thought too, yeah. I've been asked the same, yeah.
Yeah, we're anticipating the way that their building is designed, it should be a fairly quick build. So hopefully they're able to open.
And none of them are real ginormous buildings, but
Right.
just, the snowballs are coming,
Yep.
so. all right.
Shush.
Yeah.
Don't bring that up, would you? I'm still
anything?
enjoying summer.
Good. Luke? Over there?
No.
Nothing? Good. I don't really have a whole lot other than, I'd just like to extend congratulations and thanks to our Public Works crew. We sometimes take things for granted, but that 2-inch rain that we had last Tuesday put a good share of our Public Works crew out all through the evening, making sure everything is going. One thing, if people don't always realize, is, we've been at flood stage for a long time now, and every time it rains, all of the water comes down the hill, but it all has to be pumped over the levee now. And so those guys spent a good share of, well, as far as I know, they were out all Tuesday night. I know they had some problems with one pump, and they were moving pumps around and stuff like that. So that's that stuff that unless you're by one of them pumps, you don't even realize it's happening. But I just wanted to publicly say thanks to all of them. I have no idea which part of the crew it was or who was there, but just basically all of the Public Works crew, and I don't know if utilities were involved as well, but to those guys for taking, we'll just make it a blanket, the folks out of the MSC building that made all that happen, and everybody else, we all slept through the night, didn't know anything was even happening, so. Those are always those good positive things that, most people don't know that are happening, but are very important, so I wanna say thanks to those guys for doing that, so. Aldi's, Nick, we already talked about. I think that's about all I have as well. Last call, if not, I'd entertain a motion. We do have a EDA meeting. There's usually a 5-minute gap, hopefully less, and we'll cut right into that EDA meeting. But if not, I entertain a motion to adjourn for the evening.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion by Councilmember Schultz, second by Councilmember Geisler to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned. We'll see.